was on the trail in Iowa not long ago, but he's no politician. He's looking for diamonds in the rough. With Lee Cowan, meet American picker Mike Wolfe.
American Pickers used to be one of the most popular reality TV shows, but now many fans barely remember the franchise. A lot of people watched every week for years to see Mike Wolfe, Frank Fritz, and the team turn old junk into treasure. But behind the scenes, scandals, personal problems, health problems, and shocking events started to slowly break the show apart. The decline did not happen all at once. It was built up over many years of turmoil and stress. Then what really caused American Pickers to fail? And did a reported betrayal and an accident that almost killed someone push the show past the point of recovery? Come with us as we look into the real reasons why American Pickers lost favor. The point where American Pickers really takes off. People used to rely on that show. Fans of that type loved it more than anything else, and it was where they went to have fun. You could say it was like the high of the time. It came out once a week, but it was so popular that people watched it over and over again before the next update. When the team wasn't taking shots from other teams, things were at least this way. There's been a big drop in the number of people who watch American Pickers. Ratings have dropped from over 5 million to under 1 million because the much-loved chemistry that fans wanted has been broken up. They woke up one morning to find that their favorite group, which consisted of Frank Fritz, Mike Wolfe, and Danielle Colby, was missing one of its founders. After a show aid, they looked through all the shots and couldn't find Frank Fritz. No matter how hard they tried to find an answer on social media sites, they were met with silence. Without the original three, the show began to seem dull and routine. It stopped having the charm it had at its best. With fans leaving and the band losing its cultural importance, it's having a hard time right now. No one would have thought this story would have gone in such a different direction when they looked at its roots. When American Pickers came out in 2010, it was a new show. Instead of the normal scripted drama, it was all about real people searching through barns and sheds for lost treasures without any editing. It was made by Mike Wolfe, who wanted to show real people and real finds with a bit of American history. At the time, the show was one of the few ways to see small towns and back roads on TV. Two guys in a van drove across the country looking for rusty gold. That was the start of the magic. People watched as they went into crowded barns, crawled through spiderwebs, and found what looked like junk. It felt like each pick was a carefully planned event meant to draw people in. Indeed, that's what it did. Everything felt like it had a connection to someone's past, from an old gas sign to a bike from the 1930s. Mike Wolfe, who was always interested and excited, was a voice and face of the show. With his funny sense and eye for cool little things, Frank Fritz kept him in line. Danielle Colby brought her toughness from work and helped run the shops and plan picks. These three friends were told to bring life to TV, which is exactly what they did. Memories were what the show was all about. It helped older people remember things and sparked interest in younger people. People saw parts of the homes they grew up in, the homes of their grandparents, or historical places in their area come back to life. It also revered the working class's values, such as being honest, working hard, and remembering the past. 3 to 5 million people watched each week's episode, and it wasn't just for fun. Mike's shop, Antique Archaeology, also became a popular place for tourists to visit. A huge number of clips, reviews, and conversations between fans were shared on social media. So much more was added to the name than Mike had planned at first. The amount of success kept going up over the years to unimaginable heights. It's not a surprise that these accomplishments fell after Frank Fritz's death. However, the base has a crack. Frank and Mike were co-stars, but they were also longtime friends who traveled together and shared back roads, junkyards, and greasy bars all over America. But by season 21, something didn't seem right. And in the end, Frank just disappeared. Frank finally came out and blamed Mike and the show's executives for his sudden lack of interest in anything related to American Pickers. Mike and the executives decided to keep quiet about Frank's disappearance. Yes, Frank had begun to tune out of the show. Fans were once again not told what was going on when they asked. Frank was the only one who could come out and try to clear his name. As the episode went on, Frank said there were big signs of some kind of power fight on the show. His claim was that it was now tilted over 1,000% toward Mike. He said that even though they were childhood friends and helped make the show's energy, he was now treated like the second man. After Frank left in 2020 for major back surgery, things got even worse. He thought they were close enough to put aside their differences in the face of tragedy, like health problems, even though their friendship was under a lot of stress. He thought Mike Wolf would also understand this at this very hard time in his life and work. But, sadly, he was wrong. Based on what he said, Mike never called to see how he was doing. He did not bother to use middlemen to get in touch with him or even go around to see how he was doing. After 40 years of friendship, this silence hurt Frank so much that he decided to tell everyone about their fight. He used social media to talk about how upset he was. And it didn't end there. He also never turned down an interview request to talk about their differences. People liked him, and it didn't take long for them to side with him. A lot of fans made it clear that they wouldn't watch the show until Frank was back to being who he was supposed to be and not what Mike started making him out to be. This made it clear that the fans were split into two groups. Many watchers called Mike Wolf selfish and said he fired Frank to get more control over the brand. He was the target of harsh critical comments online. After all the cyber attacks he had to deal with, Mike finally put out a short statement in which he wished Frank the best and hoped he would fully heal. It wasn't enough. For the fans who had been mean to him, this comment came off as cold, like a business email instead of a hug from a friend who was hurting. A lot of people were angry on social media. Frank had stopped appearing on TV by this point, and even though it was mostly because of surgery, Mike was still getting attacked all the time. Who did something wrong? Frank's greater use of drugs wasn't even his fault. As things got worse, Mike also chose to do something out of character and say what was bothering him. A crack in the foundation. He said that one reason he hadn't asked Frank to come back on TV was because of problems he was having after surgery. He said that Frank's struggles with addiction, especially opioid and alcoholism, made him quiet because they were too heavy for him to carry around after surgery. Mike said that he and the network were trying to help Frank make things right before letting him go back to shooting. When Frank heard this, he stepped up his game. He then told everyone that Mike was planning to replace him with Mike's brother Robbie Wolf. All of these were just reasons. What would happen to Danielle if they were at war? What did she say about it? When Danielle Colby was asked about the breakup, all eyes were on her. It looked like she agreed with Mike. She didn't say much, but it was clear what she thought. Even though she chose not to say anything, it made things more confusing. Some fans thought she betrayed Frank, while others thought she was just doing a job and keeping out of trouble. Something changed on the screen after Frank left. The flow of the show was broken. It was no longer fun to watch because there was no more back and forth. Frank was the heart and soul of the show, even though he was only a co-host. In contrast to Mike's smooth delivery, he had a rough charm. The show went too far in one way without him. It was more about business than friendship. Fans who were really into it said they felt like something was missing. Without him, the fun, laid-back car trips felt more planned. Some angry fans are said to have even said that the makers were hiding the truth. At the same time, Frank's health kept getting worse, and in the end, it was almost impossible for him to get back into the public eye. On the good side, and despite what people said about them in public, they made up in May 2023 during an emotional reunion. Eventually, Frank had a stroke and died in September 2024. Mike was said to have been by his side, stressing that they loved each other like brothers until the end. After his death, the History Channel showed tribute title cards at the beginning of season 26 and at the beginning of some episodes all season long. In October 2024, they also showed a lot of Frank's favorite shows back-to-back to honor his 10 years on the show. Then, they put out a statement together calling Frank a beloved family member and a charming beard who would be missed very much. Mike Wolf then told everyone that he was dedicating the whole new season to Frank's memory. In interviews, he has been seen clearly upset as he talked about how Frank was a dreamer who was key to the show's success for 15 years. Both Danielle Colby and Robbie Wolf paid respect to Frank in public, saying nice things about his sense of humor and contagious laughter.